Welcome to the Restricted Handling Daily Intel Brief. This is what's been going on in China in the past 24 hours. U.S. China relations are taking another sharp turn, and it's sending ripples across the region. President Trump's recent Beijing visit has rolled out a new diplomatic term: constructive strategic stability. It's the kind of phrase that bureaucracies love, but everyone else reads for intent. Here's the catch: Trump is praising Xi Jinping as a towering leader, describing the US and China as a G2 of equal superpowers, and putting Taiwan's $14 billion arms package on pause. The message is clear to Asia. Taiwan, India, and Manila are all recalibrating their expectations, trying to figure out whether the US is still a counterweight or quietly ceding influence. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's comments at the Shangri-La Dialogue didn't mention Taiwan, a break from past practice, but acknowledged China's ambitions while claiming respect. Regional allies are watching carefully, and there's an undercurrent of uncertainty about whether traditional security assurances still hold. Off the coast of Taiwan, tensions are subtly rising. Chinese Coast Guard vessels are operating east of the island, pressing jurisdictional claims and questioning commercial traffic. Taipei has reinforced that these are Taiwanese waters and is instructing ships to ignore Chinese assertions. The presence of 6 planned ships and 10 official vessels over a 24-hour period underscores that this is a sustained operational posture, not a one-off maneuver. While no aircraft were reported in that window, the message is unmistakable. Beijing wants to normalize its maritime control and test the region's reactions. Taiwan is responding with strategic patience and capability. The island conducted its first West Coast HIMARS live-fire drill, launching 32 rockets from a potential landing area to practice rapid shoot-and-scoot operations. These drills highlight mobility and survivability, making the island a more difficult target while signaling to Washington that Taipei is serious about asymmetric defense. HIMARS reach allows Taiwan to strike coastal areas in China's Fujian province, and when paired with domestic Thunderbolt 2000 systems, it extends deterrence against amphibious attempts. The drill was conducted under tighter operational conditions than previous exercises, demonstrating that Taiwan is evolving its readiness posture without overexposing itself. The South China Sea remains a gray zone arena. The Philippines recently protested a Chinese-linked floating platform at Scarborough Shoal. Officials released images showing personnel, antennas, and flotation devices. Manila insists this structure cannot become a man-made island, recalling the early incremental militarization at Mischief Reef. Beijing continues to frame its presence as legitimate scientific or maritime law activity, but regional states see it as part of a pattern of subtle expansion. Meanwhile, ASEAN discussions on a code of conduct remain slow, with Manila emphasizing adherence to international law rather than compromise for a weak agreement. China's domestic and international moves continue in parallel. Xi Jinping has been consolidating influence across multiple theaters. Internally, he's purging networks of senior officials, signaling that loyalty flows upward and no prior service guarantees protection. Externally, he recently visited Pyongyang, reinforcing ties with North Korea while sidestepping public discussion of denuclearization. The visit reinforced Beijing's role as a key patron for Kim Jong Un without pushing nuclear constraints, while keeping Moscow engaged as a counterbalance. This subtle balancing act highlights China's desire to maintain influence in Pyongyang without appearing overbearing or threatening regional stability. Technology and economic leverage are also in play. The Pentagon recently expanded its Section 1260H list to 188 Chinese companies, including Alibaba, BYD, and Unitree Robotics, citing potential contributions to China's military-industrial ecosystem through civil-military fusion. While the designations do not immediately impose sanctions, they signal to investors and companies that commercial engagement carries national security scrutiny. China has denounced the move as unreasonable, framing it as part of a broader effort to contain its civilian technology champions. Meanwhile, Britain has rolled back several telecom cybersecurity measures after industry pushback, creating a gap in protections against state-linked campaigns like Salt Typhoon. The contrast underscores the challenge Western governments face in securing critical sectors while managing commercial and political realities. Japan is increasingly stepping into a leadership role in the region, drawing Beijing's attention. Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi has framed the possibility of a Chinese attack or blockade of Taiwan as survival threatening, enabling Japan to legally consider supporting Allied action. Japan has met its 2% GDP defense target, deployed advanced missile units to remote islands, and deepened partnerships with the Philippines and Australia. Frigate transfers and radar sharing with Manila, as well as joint exercises, demonstrate Tokyo's growing reach and strategic ambition. Beijing, predictably, has criticized these developments as remilitarization, while keeping close watch on Japan's latent nuclear capability and regional influence. China's broader military messaging seeks to normalize its presence at sea while controlling the narrative. The Liaoning Carrier Group conducted far-seas training in the Western Pacific. Chinese officials stressed the exercises are not aimed at any specific country, but criticized Japan for monitoring and publicizing movements. It's a clear pattern: operational freedom at sea, maximal control over perception, and careful signaling without overt escalation. Similarly, Beijing continues to manage its relations with North Korea, asserting influence, coordinating trade, and encouraging cooperation in law enforcement and strategic communications, all while letting Pyongyang maintain a degree of autonomy. Economic signals are reinforcing strategic influence. China's exports continue to rise, especially in high-tech sectors like integrated circuits and green technology. Domestic investments, including the expansion of AI infrastructure and network data centers, highlight Beijing's intent to dominate future technology while controlling the flow of information and talent. These efforts are paired with increasing scrutiny over AI relay platforms and cross-border data, signaling Beijing's desire to safeguard technological leadership and maintain internal control over sensitive systems. That wraps up the key developments for today. Across the board, we see China consolidating influence with North Korea, applying subtle pressure around Taiwan, leveraging its technology and economic heft, and projecting maritime and diplomatic power in multiple theaters. Regional actors are adjusting, balancing diplomacy, military preparedness, and alliance ties in response to shifting U.S. policies, Beijing's messaging, and the underlying strategic currents in the Indo-Pacific. Thanks for listening. If this episode was useful, take a second to leave a review or drop a comment. It makes a real difference in getting this in front of the right audience. We also publish a daily intel brief on Substack at restrictedhandling.substack.com with deeper coverage on Russia, China, Iran, the Middle East, and the DPRK. Have a great rest of your day.